All right, everyone, welcome back to the next webinar in our series on how to grow your agency, presented by Crowdspring. All right, so today's guest, it's Lee Goff. He's your marketing agency coach. We have talked for a long time. I've followed what Lee does in terms of his books and his marketing. He's a process guy. He's somebody who is going to try to make your life easier running an agency. He's ran an agency. He's had all the headaches that you have, and now he's trying to help you get out of that business, right? Start to run the business instead of letting it run you. So, Lee, great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here. My name is Lee Goff, and I am definitely humbled and honored to be here today. I started my agency in 2003. I built that into a multi-seven-figure success that won Top Company Culture from Entrepreneur Magazine. That is right here on the screen if you see that. We were also Agency Partner of the Year for about, I think it's 3 or 4 years straight. We won it so many times I kind of lost track of it. I think 13, 14, 15, or 14, 15, 16, something like that. I write for Forbes magazine currently. I'm also on Forbes Coaching Council for the past couple of years, and my agency was a runner-up for the very, very prestigious what's called Elite Business of the Year in the entire Keep and Infusionsoft ecosystem. After selling my agency in 2016, I decided to give back to the community and coach other agency owners. My purpose in life is to make your life easier. That's all I do. I'm also a single dad of an amazing, very spicy 13-year-old daughter. And again, she just turned 13. She actually looked me dead in the eye at 2 a.m. on her 13th birthday and said, "Yeah, Daddy, we decided to pull an all-nighter." And I said, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to work quite out that way, but I appreciate the initiative. Get half what you ask for, none of what you don't," right? So point being is I am very thankful to be here with all of you today, and I'm looking forward to going through this presentation. That presentation is, we're going to cover the top 5 prospect vetting tactics. Stop wasting time with tire kickers or bad target audience fits. I discovered these while running my agency and using this in my day-to-day coaching program. But what exactly is it, and why is it so important? Why are prospect vetting tactics such a big deal? As your agency grows, you're going to find out that you have to create very creative ways. You have to come up with creative ways to vet out tire kickers or prospects. Because again, as your agency becomes in more demand, you're going to have a lot more people who want to talk to you for a lot of different reasons. One, just, I hate to say it, to kind of milk your knowledge or to get some insight on what would you do so they can have their brother-in-law do it for you. So there's a lot of things that are going to start happening where people are going to start kind of monopolizing your time. And you have to come up with creative, fun, effective prospect vetting tactics to make sure, again, that you're not wasting your time on the tire kickers or prospects who are not a good fit and or just simply can't afford your fees or just, like I said, a bad fit. So before putting in prospect vetting tactics at my agency, we literally would spend 20 to 30 hours a week. Okay, as me and one other guy generating proposals, and it literally was killing our profits because, as you already know, to generate these proposals, it's almost always a thought leader. You don't take the rookie you just hired off the side of the street to generate these proposals when you know they're going to set the expectation levels and profit levels for the life cycle of that project. So it's always a thought leader. It's always, in my case, it was the vice president of business development and sales, and then me, the CEO. And so whenever you pulled out the 2 C-level guys, 2 thought leaders out of the entire organization, it has a tendency to do a lot of things. One, bog down the service department because a lot of times the service department has this basic input that they need help with. 2, it literally kills your ability to actually grow your agency in a proactive way because you're always reacting to prospect proposal request. So what we did is we came up with numerous ways to determine who was a good fit for my agency and who wasn't. In today's presentation, I'm going to show you the top 5 ways we did this at my agency, and I still continue to do this with my students on a daily or weekly basis. Before we get into the top 5 vetting tools or tactics, I need to explain something called trust gaps. Trust gaps, as defined by me and my students, we've defined that ourselves over the years, is defined like this: gaps in prospect confidence or buying intent. Each prospect will demonstrate specific actions when they are just kicking tires or they are a serious buying unit ready to have a serious discussion with a qualified sales rep. Let me read that one more time. Gaps in prospect confidence, meaning your prospect is not very confident, they're just kicking tires, they're not going to spend any money with you at all, or they demonstrate specific actions that are going to show you whether they're just waiting. And I don't want to say wasting time, but they're tire kickers. They're not ready to buy yet. So they're not going to buy in the next year or two. They're just tire kickers. Or if they're ready to actually get on the phone, meaning they're going to give you your phone number, they're going to schedule 30, 45 minutes for you to go through a discovery call and figure out what's going on. If you know what those trust gaps are, you can set up extremely effective prospect vetting tactics that ensure you spend time with properly vetted prospects that are ready to make a buying decision in the next 30 days. As I go through my presentation, I will reference trust gaps. When I do, I am referring to the fact that your prospect is either kicking tires and or not ready to talk to someone on the phone, or if they are a serious buyer and are ready to talk details, to help you get it on the phone to them and establish a relationship and get that project started. For example, a prospect will give you their email address when they're kicking tires, but they will not give you their phone number because they don't want to waste your time. We all do it. When you were dreaming of buying that Tesla, or you found out your wife just got pregnant, or you're dreaming about building that dream home in Wyoming out there, what you do is you actually start to research what kind of wood you want to use. How much does that wood cost? Are we going to go rustic, or are we going to go just kind of traditional wood? Or you go to Tesla, into their Tesla builder. You will physically, literally pick every single little line out, everything. The color, the stereo, the tires, how fast you want engine, everything, and you'll save it. But you're not going to be in a financial position to buy that Tesla for 2 years, or you're not going to be in a financial position to build that dream home in Wyoming. It's going to take a little while to get there. That does not stop us from kicking tires and dreaming about what we want in our home or what we want in that Tesla. In that phase, we freely give up our email address because we know that we're not going to talk to anyone, and we know that we're not going to buy anything. Now, if you're actually in a buy mode, you have to talk to someone to get the details out, so you will give that phone number. So that's one simple example. And so as I go through this, you'll hear me reference trust gaps, and that's what those are. Is we're overcoming prospect confidence or buying intent by putting a trust gap, a step that they have to step over, a gap to step over to show you with their actions that they are legitimately ready to give you some money and start a project. Okay? So let's get off into this. Vetting tip number 1. One of the most powerful vetting tools out there is a short quiz. Now, a lot of you have heard this before, a short quiz that can score their answers with what's called conditional logic. Okay. Quizzes are effective at engaging prospects immediately after opting in for a lead magnet or as a lead magnet themselves. In this specific case, I deliver the quiz after they opt in, and this is what you see on the page screen right here. This is what this is right here. This is the beginning of a quiz, one-on-one application for a simple quiz right there. Okay. So we deliver this quiz right after they opt in to get a lead magnet. At the top of the page, we let them know the lead magnet will be delivered in the next 1 to 2 minutes, just enough time for them to complete a 5 simple question quiz. If the prospect completes the quiz and is a hot buying unit, they will almost assuredly take the next trust gap step, of which is to give you the phone number. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everyone out there. Okay, now after they do that, you can also set up something called conditional logic. So as they're going through this quiz, conditional logic allows you to vet who sees what page after the quiz is completed. So if your ideal audience is a certain revenue goal or employee size, then you can eliminate prospects via the answers they provide using conditional logic and tools like Thrive quizzes, Typeform, Gravity Forms, and pretty much any of the major form builders out there now have conditional logic. So let me back up and give you a little bit better example here. So this is my one-on-one application. Okay, so whenever you come in, you go through the quiz here, and then right here you have to schedule a consult and you have to complete the agency health and wellness exam. So I bounce them to what's called a thank you page, and on here it's more to schedule. Now the next one on the value vetting tip number 2, same process. We're getting them to opt into a lead magnet, but after they opt into that lead magnet, we again push them through a quiz, again tell them they have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the quick questions, and at the end of it, instead of providing a page where they have to kind of pay to save my seat, and I'm going to elaborate on that here in a little bit, we bounce them to a page. All we're asking for is the phone number. Okay, so thank you page and phone numbers is vetting tip number 2. If a prospect is an actual hot prospect and they fit your ideal target audience, then you bounce them to a thank you page after they opt in for the lead magnet. Now, this is different. This is different conditional logic than I use on my coaching application, which is what I was just saying. This one is intended to hook the prospect into providing a phone number. You see, there are basic trust gaps in the buy cycle. The phone number is the first sign that they are a serious buyer. If a prospect will not provide their phone number, in most cases, they are not a qualified buying prospect. Okay? So again, the difference between these two is this: after we determine in the conditional logic whether or not they're qualified, we bounce them to an application page. Now on this one, this is a professional services, not like a coaching thing. So meaning they're going to be doing the SEO and designing the website. It's a bigger project. So we don't want to put that save my seat fee in there because they want more volume. They want more larger contracts and stuff to come in. So all we want is a phone number, and it works wonderfully. This single form right here that you see in front of you generated over 64 leads last year over the Christmas break. And let me get in context. We implemented this system in September, October. They're in the Middle East, so they go kind of take a holiday towards the end of November and all the way through December. And over those about 35, 40 days, they harvested, I think it was 64 contacts records with phone numbers that they would have never gotten previously. So this stuff works, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to get out there and put the time into doing it. Okay. Vetting tip number 3, low trust engagements. Now, Ryan Dice calls them tripwires. And for info products, like informational products and strictly digital products, I love that name. I think it works. It seems to fit. I mean, you're attempting to get them to buy something very cheap and then ascend them up what's called the value ladder. Okay. But for agencies, I have found the term low trust engagements is a much more accurate representation of what actually works for a professional services provider like a marketing agency, like you ladies and gentlemen out there. With tripwires, it's typically a 100% digital delivery. When you're an agency and are attempting to sell them on a much larger project, which is almost always the case, your close percentages double and even triple if you can engage with them in a meaningful way. There are millions of ways to do this, but one of the best ways, at least I have found, is a paid audit or discovery product line. Let me give you an example of how we use this on a very regular basis to get amazing results. This is what's called a Facebook opportunity audit. This audit or discovery product is a very successful tool we have used to determine if Facebook is a good platform for their small business or not. You see, the biggest question businesses ask themselves about Facebook is Facebook good for my business? They hear about it all the time. They hear it's great, but will it work for my specific business or location? If you understand that, then you can leverage into that and lean into that, and you can offer a product line that can sell. We typically sell this for like $97 up to $497, depending on the value of what all the report delivers and how well the report's put together. Now, it is critical that the delivered report is a standalone product. Let me repeat that. It is critical. These audits cannot be just a stepping stone to get into into a bigger project. They have to deliver overwhelming value, and they have to be able to a standalone product so they can take this audit and they can attempt to go do some of the work themselves. They can have another vendor do some of it. It's a standalone product that delivers overwhelming value every single time. It's critical that happens. In this audit, we did a deep dive into the custom audiences, budgets, example ads like creatives, and more. So the value is actually it's just through the roof. The report is personally delivered by someone who understands the service and how to sell someone. Remember, even though it has to stand on its own 2 feet and be a high value, high impact report, it is still a tool to help you close much bigger deals. Once your prospects see the amount of work involved in running Facebook ads, they have no problem hiring an agency to manage, set up, and get on hopefully a large monthly retainer to oversee the custom audiences, ads, creatives, and all the stuff that goes into running a successful Facebook campaign. Give me 1 second here and take a drink here. Okay. All right. So that's one example. Let me give you a few more examples. Okay. And we do this all of the time. All of these things you see right here are being used right now in real time by my students all over the planet to help close bigger deals. So a few more examples of successful audits we've used is our web audits. I personally love my web audit. Cliff over there does a phenomenal job. Conversion audit. This is going to be, have they diversified their lead magnets? Do they have the proper call to actions? And whenever they do get a call, an opt-in to a call to action or lead magnet, is the proper follow-up systems in place. So it's called a conversion audit, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. Usability audit. This is to where you can actually put in a system like Hotjar or Crazy Egg. There's a ton of systems out there now, and I used to sell these all the time for about $400 or $500. And we would run polls and surveys. We would record the video of the usability. People actually, it would record 2, 3, 4, 5 minute video of people clicking and what they clicked on and what they didn't click on. It would do what's called heat mapping, confetti mapping, and all these different wonderful tools. High visual, okay? So it allowed me to take the visuals from that platform, put it into a beautiful report, and they were always like, wow, how did you, we called it our hidden data. They loved it because we could see things on their website that they did not even know existed, okay? And it was a wonderful, wonderful tool. Landing page audit, are the proper conversion tactics in there, exit intents, social proof, social trust, all these different things. Google ad audit, LinkedIn profile and ad audit. You get the point here. It really is limitless on what you can do. And in a lot of cases, these can be free if you want to, but I would advise you to have a small fee associated to them. Hence the name Low Trust Engagements, like right here. Okay. All right. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Lee, we got a question on that. I mean, these are, it's kind of obvious here, but you've got some, lead magnets and Hotjar, and these are actual brands. The question was, do we have to create these already, or are they in existence? And yeah, I mean, I think the idea here is that, so a tool like Hotjar, you pay a small fee for it, but it's creating all of these visuals, and then you're, downloading those into a report. So
Correct.
You're really looking for tools that already exist.
Well, it depends. Yes, it is a good idea to always use tools that exist. So, for example, my web audit is a phenomenal tool. Hotjar is another phenomenal tool. Thrive Leads is another phenomenal tool. But sometimes you will have to create, like your own report. Now, the tools will harvest the raw data. Okay. And again, this is kind of the secret sauce of each agency. That's why they will range from $97 to $497, whatever that price point is. And you can kind of see on here, this one was a little more involved. Page optimization, Facebook Pixel, is it actually installed, working, and firing properly? Page owners, page business administrators, campaigns, performance, everything. And so we got into great and pretty, very, very detailed Facebook opportunity audit. Most of the time, you'll have to create. I do have a lot of these templates actually in my coaching program, but in most of the time you'll have to create the template for the report yourself on your end. So.
And maybe you'll cover this later, but how many of these do you start with? So the Facebook opportunity, I mean, obviously you have to know your audience. You have to know the questions they're asking to find the one that looks like it's probably going to be the strongest for the initial one. But do you drip these out? Do you create, every week, for the folks that the Facebook opportunity audit wasn't the right fit? Do you now go more into something that was also a key area for auditing their site? How do you handle that?
Well, a lot of times what you can do is you can actually run promotional offers. Hey, our Facebook opportunity audit's normally $97. We're giving it to everybody for $27 for the next 24 hours. So what does that do? Okay, if people are kind of thinking about Facebook, they will pull the trigger on that $27. So what did you just do? You just pulled out some hot leads on Facebook that you would not have been able to do if you did not have this type of service. Okay, so that's one. Two, determining on which ones to go with first. You're right. You don't have time to create 10 of these things overnight, right? So you look at your target audience. What are you selling now? What kind of tool what would help you close more deals? So let's just say you're a web design shop and you do web design and you build websites, just for a very simple example that everybody hopefully can understand out there. In your specific case, do a website audit and a conversion audit, because it shows them that maybe the images are too large. They need to optimize the page for Google, for optimized images for SEO rankings, responsiveness, conversion, all these different things. And you can kind of screw in the pain points on what you do best. So I would look at what you do best, what you enjoy doing, create an audit or a tool to help you close more deals in that direction. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, crowdspring has done this as well. I mean, we'll do visual brand audits where we take a look at a website and spend, 5-10 minutes and walk through kind of what we're seeing. Obviously, we're a design and branding service, and we'll walk through kind of fresh and say, oh, here's what's hurting your sales. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the quickest, fastest way to get this done, okay, is go to my website, marketingagencycoach.com/partners. Okay, and on there, I've listed numerous different platforms that do this. The one I'd recommend first is called My Web Audit. I think scroll down the page. I think it's fourth or fifth one down on the page. Okay. And so the reason I'm saying that is this: you can create these web audits, okay, and you can do this in like 5 minutes. This is what I'm telling you to do here. Does not take 3 years. It does not take 10 hours. This literally can be done in about 5 minutes. So what you do is you sign up for their service. I think it's like $100 a month or something. Don't quote me on that. It's somewhere right around that price point. And then you can run what's called a My Web Audit, and it spits out this about 20-page report that's just absolutely stunningly beautiful. Okay. Then you take that report, you open up your screen recording like Loom or Screencast or anything along those lines, right? And you just go through the report, scroll through the report and tell them what you see as a professional digital marketer. And then send them the report with the video. Okay. And sometimes you can even do this on really big prospects that are super hot. They're hot. They're already vetted. So you don't have to worry about it, right? You're just trying to close the deal. So take 10 minutes, run the audit. And again, the cloud-based app, it does it all for you. You just plop in the URL and it comes back and spits it all out. It's a beautiful report. Pull up Loom or Screencast or any, whatever Camtasia or whatever you use to record your screen recording. Okay. And then record your thoughts on what that report is saying about their website and send it to them. You'll be shocked at how often people are like, oh my God, I love this. I had no idea I had this many problems. Can we talk tomorrow? And for example, Loom, you can set up notifications. So the minute that they watch the video, that they just watched the video. Pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I've got to say, Vidyard and Loom, if you're not using these tools already or haven't heard of them, they're very simple, very light applications that sit in your browser. Really easy to do a quick custom, video on a custom URL. It just shows so much value. A lot of times it's faster than typing out an email. I love to kind of send a quick video. You can communicate more emotion and content very quickly, and it looks nice. So definitely incorporate that. I wanted to back up. Yeah. I wanted to say one thing. If you've joined for all of our sessions leading up to this, there's been a common theme, which is that tools don't make you an expert, right? And so, yes, your clients can, get access to Hotjar or a Facebook audit tool like what we're talking about here. But the value you bring as an agency is so much more. And so I wouldn't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but I wouldn't have any problem sharing that, hey, I'm getting this data and I'm upcharging you from, something like a Hotjar, because the value that I add as an agency owner is much more in depth in your industry than you could get on your own just using the same tool. Tools don't make you an expert.
No. I agree 1,000,000%. Okay. Hotjar is a tool to give you visuals that allows you to show your expertise. Hotjar is not the expert. You are the expert. It is a tool. It's like a shovel. You know what I'm saying? You can dig a hole with your hands, or you can dig. The tools help you make you a better professional, but it does not make. It's not the end all say all. So same thing applies to My Web Audit. Again, it's a phenomenal report, but I tell everyone, charge 37, 47, 50, whatever you want, whatever you can get, honestly, and then put some time into the Loom video. Spend, like I said, 5-10 minutes going through the report, telling them what you see and sending it over to them. Now, I also recommend, if you get the chance to hand deliver the report if you can at all times. So therefore they're asking real-time questions back in real time, right? So going back and forth, back and forth. And what happens is these tools open up their eyeballs to the problem, basically to the pain point that the reason they reached out to you in the first place. They knew they were having a problem with their website, whatever it might be, right? Organic rankings, whatever the problem is, they reached out to you for a reason. Use these tools and your expertise to confirm their suspicions and give them empirical data so they can make that decision 10 times easier.
And you should be testing the price point, because you got to see what works. You're throwing out some prices that maybe you might be leaving money on the table, it might be too high, and it's not that quick decision for your audience. I think, was it Ryan Dice that had a conversation, a blog post years ago, where they landed on the $7 report. They tested a bunch of price points, and then they found out, you know what, $7 even is the best converting price point for these types of magnets.
Yeah, tripwire, exactly. Yep. Not the tripwire. That $7, $7 to $77 is typically where tripwires kind of fall into play. Okay, and I'm giving you the example of an audit here, and those typically can be pretty cheap if you're using an automated tool. But if you're getting into the situation to where you're doing more like Google ad audit, and there's not a tool, it might take longer to do that. LinkedIn profile might take longer to do that. So a lot of it is about how time does it take for you to do it. But understand the whole point of these audits and the discovery phases, okay, which I didn't get the chance right here. I kind of glossed over that, the discovery products. Sometimes these discovery products, one of my students has a discovery product that's $25,000. It's intense. Okay, I'm talking about, this is a 90-day discovery process. They do all of what you see here. They do the overall digital transformation. It's called Strata. Anyway, we have this entire framework that goes into it. And when they deliver this thing, man, it's 100-something pages of just unbelievable detail of exactly what he serves nonprofits and associations, of exactly what they have to do for the next 2 years. I mean, down to the almost task. It is unbelievably that detailed. And so it's very much up to you guys on how you want to do it, and also who you're selling to. If you're attempting to get more quick website sales, you sell a $1,000 website product, okay, then you're going to want to keep that price point about 27, 47, somewhere right around there, and turn and burn. It's more about volume. Now, if you're going after the $200,000 Salesforce implementations, have a $12,000 to $15,000 discovery process, because that pre-frames your target audience into spending larger amounts of money with you. But you also want the kind of prospect that understands the value of planning on that scale of a project, on a $200,000 project. Okay, you don't want the ready, fire, aim kind of scenario there. That's the last thing you want in that scenario. So again, a lot of this depends on what the end product is you're trying to sell. So just kind of match up the audit or discovery phase up to with the product, the intent that you're trying to sell, or websites or whatever it might be. Okay.
Makes
all that
sense.
resonate? Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good. Let's get to number 4.
All right. Number 4 is actions, not words. This is one of my favorites. Okay. Look, webinar registrations, clicks, opt-ins, specific actions. Let me just go ahead and break this news to you. If you haven't figured it out by now, prospects lie, and they do it all of the time.
No.
Now, again, in most cases, they don't mean any harm by it. It's not to be mean. It's not to be hateful or anything along those lines. Most of the time, they don't know what the hell they're asking for, and they're just trying to avoid having a conversation with you. They don't want to talk to you, or they don't know what they're asking. So most of the time, when they're lying, it's 1, to get off the phone with you. 2, they don't want to talk to you. Or 3, they're asking questions they really don't have any experience. They shouldn't be asking the damn questions in the first place, because they don't know what they're talking about. This is why it's so important to set up your vetting processes with specific actions that, if complete, it will determine if they're a hot prospect and a buying unit instead of a tire kicker cold prospect. You lead score them and follow up with them based upon the actions they take, not the words they say. In just about all CRMs, you have the ability to do basic lead scoring, or see recent activities, or receive notifications when somebody clicks a link. All of these take seconds to set up, and can provide critical insight to your prospects' buying intent. Again, knowing that all prospects lie, let's give you a couple of examples on how you can go about judging them based upon their actions, not their words. Lead scoring. I think hopefully a lot of you out there by now have at least heard of this and have an idea of what this is. It is a very simple tactic available in just about all major CRMs. Jason, you ever use this stuff in your systems back over there?
Not particularly. I mean, I think it's a different type of business, in terms of where we're going. We can talk about that later, but sure. No, I mean, I'm not running an agency, but for an agency, yeah, this is critical.
It's critical, no doubt about it. It allows you to build a score basically for whatever the hell you want. Okay. If you want to be notified when a prospect graduates into a hot prospect or buying unit, very easily done. If you want to know when someone purchased a specific type of product or service, like an audit or discovery product, and if they did, that means someone's going to purchase a much larger project, like a 60, 75% chance of landing a 5 or 6 figure project in the next few weeks. I slaughtered it. Let me go back. So if somebody purchases like a pre-framed product, like an audit or discovery, they spend the $47 or the $500, whatever it is, like that. The odds on that, what you're going to find out that if you can make that sell, okay, it takes them out of the prospect and gets them into the client role. And as soon as someone gets into the client role, the human brain has to validate that. They do that by confirming how awesome you are by telling you how awesome that audit is. That is very powerful, because then to close them, ascend them up from the discovery phase or audit phase into the 5 or 6 figure project is it's 10 times more effective. I'm telling you, it is. And Jason, I'm sure you've just done something like that. But if you can take them out of the prospect mode and get them into what's called the buy mode, the client side, the entire relationship changes. Everybody relaxes a little bit. Everything gets easier. Have you experienced that before?
Absolutely.
Definitely, and it makes a huge difference. So, lead
you know where to spend your resources, both your time and your money. You can offer them different offers that you wouldn't do generally. Yeah,
exactly. So
it's also another real quick thing, and this is, so we do lead scoring. It's just not kind of the same. One thing that we're looking at is registrations from certain areas of the world where we do more business, right? And so if we're tracking something, that's one aspect of lead scoring that we use, but we can see that historically, we can see what's a leading indicator. And so lead scoring is great to say, what, I ran one of these promotions, or I did this marketing effort and I got a lot of leads, but look at the score from all those leads.
Yep. I have actually found that exact same thing to be true. There are certain parts of the world, okay, and when I was building my agency, we were in 17 countries, 43 states. So we did business all over the place, literally globally, okay? But it was different. Now that I'm selling more digital products, what I'm finding out is there are kind of hot spots, for lack of a better term. I'm sure you would agree. New Zealand, Australia is definitely a hot spot, right? United States, Canada is definitely a hot spot. Okay. And there are certain kind of hot spots on the planet that people invest in the kind of services that Jason and I provide more often. Okay. So if I get a lead from, and I don't want to throw out a name of a country, I don't want to, anyway, but there are other parts of the world that if I get a lead from, I just know a couple things. One, they probably just, due to exchange ratio, just simply cannot afford anything that I do. So there's no need for me to waste any time on them. If they do have the money, they will bubble up. They will continue to go down the path, and they will put in their phone number, and they will show me through their actions that they're a legit candidate, and I'll get on the phone with them, but I'm not going to worry about it out of the gate. So, all right. Now, the next one, remember what we're on here is actions, not words, vetting tip number 4, okay? Just covered lead scoring, and the next one is called recent activity. This is an unsung hero. I don't know why I never seem to hear about this out there anywhere, and I don't know why. We use this tool right here to close more business. I mean, it was unbelievable. Recent activity. Remember, keep in context. Prospects will never waste their time. They will 100% waste your time, but they will never waste their time. Okay? That's the way this works. That's why actions, not words, are so important, and that's why knowing that they lie is so important. But the one thing you can do to make sure that you're on the phone with the right target audience and that they're ready to spend some money is, where are they spending their time? Which is why I'm paying attention to your, what I like to call this the lead sticker tape, because it's kind of what it is. Or in most CRMs, they call it recent activity feed in your CRM. You have to watch this religiously, daily, hourly. Okay, as a matter of fact, this is actually from this morning. It's more than 29 minutes and 19 minutes, but this all happened this morning and came through Facebook. That's what that is. It's all that little gibberish right there means something to me because of our little naming conventions. So with that attachment 9902, that's my agency success toolkit. It's all over it's all over the place, all over the website. If you join my Facebook group, you'll get it by in there as well. Shane Carpenter clicked right, I don't know, 30 minutes or so before this got started to register for it. And there's some more down the list, right? And so I can see what they're doing. I can see their actions. And here's what happens. It took me a while to figure this one out, but after you hear it, you're like, duh, shouldn't have taken that long to figure it out. When someone is a serious buyer, this is what will happen. They will go to their email. They will type in whatever they can recall, my name, a product, a book, whatever it is that they recall about me. They will pull that up in their email, in their Gmail or wherever it is, and they'll see 5, 6, 10 emails. And they'll click on 2 or 3 of them just to make sure I like this guy, or he's not a jerk, or he's got the products I need, or whatever it is. And then they'll download a couple things, and you'll see it in the feed. You'll see a list of 4 or 5 things that they just did. They just clicked on these 4, like right now. If they're doing that, they are literally, in most cases, right at the point, right before they reach out to either make contact or reach out to give you money. Almost, it is amazing how accurate it is. So pay attention to your recent activity feed. This happens all of the time, okay? And so Annie right there is a cold lead. She just came in. I probably won't see any activity out of her for a while, but a few months down the road, I'll see Annie coming here and she will click on 6 different things, and then I'll see her click on my calendar link. She'll pop up on my damn calendar. I'll close her down 3 days later. It's awesome. So pay attention to your recent activity. Again, prospects lie, but they will not waste their time. Judge them based upon when they are spending time on your stuff. Or if they're not, then you know you got a bigger problem. Okay. That one I have to admit, I don't know why nobody ever seems to say anything about that, but this is you can't get better leads than people who are interfacing with your content and your stuff in real, at that time. Pick up the phone and call them or close them down. Okay. All right. The next one. Okay. Again, we're still on prospect vetting number 4, actions, not words. Okay. Action notifications. If, again, a prospect takes a specific action that you have found to be an indicator of them being a very hot prospect, you can set up what's called action notifications to keep you in the loop. So just kind of a back to a while ago, if somebody recent activity clicks this attachment or clicks the crowdspring or whatever it is that you have identified, okay, they just purchased a discovery product, and 1 week from now you have a call with them to deliver that, and that's a good opportunity. You want to know when somebody purchases that discovery or whatever it might be. You set up action notifications. Therefore, when they do whatever that action is, you are immediately notified that they are a hot prospect, and you need to get on the phone with them and try to schedule a call with them or wrap them up or close them down or whatever the context at the time demands. Okay. These action notifications are unbelievably powerful. And again, they take Jason, again, to go in, I don't know what CRM you use, but to go in and set up an email notification on somebody clicking a link, take 30 seconds, a minute, maybe?
Yep.
I mean, it's tedious. It's a pain in the ass, but you only have to do it once. Okay. So go in there, set it up, pay attention to these things, and think about, what? When Bob, my new client, hired me, he told me that he ran through this did this thing. And I've heard that 3 or 4 times. So I want to know if that thing is actually a what's called a buyer identifier. So set up a notification, an action notification, and pay attention to it over the next few months. If it's not, then turn it off. If it is, then you just hit a home run. And it only takes a couple home runs to win the World Series. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? Okay, we're good. All right, prospect vetting tip number 5. Okay, I learned this one. Anyway, 2012, my agency's name, if you ever want to do your research on it, it's called Get You Wired. Okay, it's GET, the letter U, WIRED. It's out of Dahlonega, Georgia. And at the time I sold it, we had 43 employees. Again, multi 7-figure agency. Very, very by most people's standards, a very successful agency. In 2012, one of our clients, Iron Tribe Fitness, won, basically it's kind of like the Oscar in the marketing automation world. Okay. It's called the Icon Business of the Year. All right. And so this is different than the Elite Business of the Year. This is the Icon Business of the Year, the one that's using the app the best, who's using marketing automation the best. Okay. And hundreds of thousands of businesses literally fight for the title to be Icon Business of the Year. Okay, they bring you to New York City. They put you up on the Times Square. You're on TV. It is a very, very, very big deal. I bet they spent $250,000 in PR just around that, just to get your brand out over the next year. Very big prize. One of our clients won the award, and then we got either lucky or really good. In the next 2 years, we had a couple of honorable mentions. So in this what's called Icon Playbook, Get You Wired was mentioned 3 or 4 times out of only like 10 companies. And so it kind of made us, very sought after. Okay. And over the next couple of years, we had to figure out a way. This is when we were having to produce those, 20 to 30 hours a week on proposals. So we had to figure out a way to kind of slow all that down and kind of make sure that we get the right fits and all that fun stuff. And so we implemented something called a waiting list. As we were implementing the waiting list, I noticed something. There's something about having to make that decision right out of the gate that tells you a lot about your prospects. We'd get on the phone, we'd spend 45 minutes with them. We'd convey our expertise, meaning like they saw the awards, they know we're the big dog, but you still have to back it up. So we got on the phone with them, confirmed our expertise, and reinforced our position as the leader in that ecosystem. After we did that, we would let them know that due to demand, we can't get you into our service processes for, 2 to 6 weeks, depending on a few different factors. It's kind of a nice way. It forced them to let you know if they're a serious buyer. Do they have the money and can they afford your agency? And if your agency is actually in the final running for a project. See, back to the whole thing, they don't want to waste their time. Why would anyone spend any time explaining to you a project that they know you can't get started for 2 to 6 weeks after they make the decision? So best case scenario, that project doesn't get started for a month to 3 months. That completely might mess up their timeline. That might mess up their budgeting. That might mess up a lot of different stuff. But what it will definitely do is it will force them to make a decision and let you know whether or not they're serious or not. Okay. Now, that is a very big deal. And this can apply in a lot of different ways. Let me give you another example. Save my seat. Okay. So back over here, where did it go? Right here, if I remember right. Right here. Okay, so this right here is what's called Save My Seat. So instead of a waiting list, okay, I had people as a coach, I had to learn this one as well. People will attempt to just honestly get a lot of free time out of you. They'll schedule times, they'll go through your calendar link. I've had people schedule 3 or 4 calls back to back to back, and I'm like, come on, man, for real? Like, I mean, come on, right? So point being is that they have to pay a $50 Save My Seat fee to just even to find out if they're a candidate for my one-on-one coaching program. Reason being is 1, I don't want people monopolizing my time, and 2, I don't want to waste my time or their time with someone who is not serious about growing their agency. And if you're serious about growing your agency, it's nothing to drop $50 or $200 on a Save My Seat fee when you know you're going to, and it's guaranteed refund. So if you show up, you don't waste my time, you're legit, then I instantly refund it, right? So it's no big deal. So all I want to do is just make sure that you're serious and that you're serious about growing your damn agency and you're not here to waste my time and or your time. So we do what's called a Save My Seat fee, and it works wonderful. Okay, so out of all of that, okay, I mean, man, I can't remember. We don't have a ton of those come through, okay, because of the way we promote ourselves. We're kind of try to remain relatively exclusive and only work with about 10, 12 people at a time. But that Save My Seat fee eliminates all of the people who might just waste my time, waste their time. I had people again, and Jason, I don't know if you ever had this happen, but people will come in and for real schedule one appointment. They'll wait 2 or 3 days. They'll do it again. And again, they're not, they're just a young, hungry entrepreneur. And they're not quite understanding what they're doing. They're monopolizing a coach's time, and a coach makes his money off of their time. So they don't quite understand what they're doing. But to mitigate that, and to make sure that I was on the phone with the right people at the right time with the right amount of money to get results, I put in what's called a Save My Seat fee. Now, for your agency, the waiting list is going to be the right route to take, because what it does is it forces them to let you know how serious they are out of the gate before you even do a proposal. Remember, we wouldn't do a proposal unless they told us, "Yeah, I'm okay with the waiting list. I'm serious. I want to be on your waiting list."
So I just want to point out something that maybe on some other people's mind. That's kind of a scary proposition to implement, right? Like, because we're thinking, because you're thinking, well, what if they say no, I'm good? I mean, because we know we have the time, we know we're available, we're artificially creating a barrier, and we've been trained to not create barriers, to say, yes, I can start this project, I want to start this project, you want to start it, let's get going. Instead, we're creating this artificial barrier where the client can say, you know what, I really need it done now. I mean, I suppose there's a way to maybe win that back if they look serious and they're willing to move forward. But I just want to point out, it sounds very scary to implement that.
Well, and it was. I will tell you right now, it was terrifying when we first did it. I am not even going to kid you, because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an opportunist, man. I'm like, nope, close the deals. Bring the deals in, you got to close them while they're there, right? If I had not had to personally go through this, and something else magical happens too. When you tell somebody that you're on a waiting list, I had people try to bribe me to get ahead.
Right.
Like, no, dude, no, bump them. Nope. Who's there? Who do I know? Bump them. I'll pay you another $1,000. Put me in front of them. It was crazy. It's the craziest shit I ever seen. It was awesome, actually, is what it was. So again, and what you can do instead of 2 to 6 weeks, you can put in there 1 to 2 weeks, depending upon workflow, right? Depending upon workflow. So as soon as they sign a proposal, hey, listen, man, we just had somebody, whatever, we can get you in about 3 or 4 days. So you can massage that however you see fit. But the point is to put a small obstacle there to make sure that you have a legitimate prospect that's going to be a good client. Now, how many times have a lot of you been in a situation to where you took on a client too fast and you knew you shouldn't have done it and it jumped up to bite you in your ass? Happens all of the time. I mean, like all of the time. So these vetting tips are also intended not only to make sure that you get the right people on the phone, but to also get the good kind of clients that aren't going to be jerks down the road. They're going to respect what you do, right? So if they can't respect you this early in their relationship, I promise you it's not going to get any better. I guarantee you it will not get any better.
Absolutely. No, I'm thinking about some of the experiences I've had outside of the digital agency world. I'm building my house, we've talked about, in Wyoming right now. And, a lot of times when a contractor or a subcontractor says that they're available, it throws up a red flag. It's like, wait a minute, you can come out right now. Like everybody else is booked out. Why does nobody want to work
everybody's
with you?
booked up for the next 30 days. Why don't you have it? Why can you come out today?
Right.
Like, wait a second, dude. I can't even find a piece of 2x4 in the damn town.
Right.
How come you've got 10 of them? I mean, wait, did you steal them or like, what are they?
So I like that. Right. It definitely gives some authority to you. And the other thing that I think, it does. Where else was I going with this? The fact that, well, that's the big one, right? I mean, I think that helps to kind of slow it down and to kind of see if it's a good fit. I think that's perfect. So I think I like the idea of kind of massaging that a little bit, because you can play with that. You can A/B test. You can see what you're most comfortable with. If you're approaching it, from weeks or days, but having that little stopgap there to build a little bit of
very effective. It really is. It really, really is huge when it comes to, I should have put that in building authority. Now, another thing I want to make sure, that everyone understands this. Okay. This is as a matter of fact, if you get just a few things out of this whole presentation, this one right here is one of them. Okay. You do not do this when you're begging for business. Okay. And let me elaborate what I mean by that is if you're kind of a jack of all trades out there and you go to the Chamber of Commerce event and you literally are just like, you'll take anybody who will give you money, anybody on the world who wants to give you money for it, you'll take it because you're begging for business. Okay. That is, you do not do these at that phase of business. Okay. This is after you get hopefully a little more entrenched. Okay. And you're starting to kind of see the value of your time. Does that make sense, Jason? Well, not everybody at first, there's not a ton of value in your time because you're just getting started. You have to earn your ropes. You don't have the experience yet. Okay.
Right.
So you doing these, okay, you got to be careful. There's one time that is always the best time to test all of this stuff out. And that is when business is really good. This is what I tell all of my students. The minute that you have 3 or 4 proposals in the pipeline and you just close them, literally the next one, raise your damn prices by 20%. You have the bandwidth. You have the runway. You have 90 days. It doesn't matter if you lose this one because you went up by 20%. But if you can raise yourself prices by 20% and keep it there, what does that do for you long term? Now, when I have advised my students to do this, anybody want to take a percentage of how many times this turned out to be 100% the right decision every single time? I just totally gave it away, didn't I?
Anyway. Yeah. I was going to guess that anyway, though. It's all what's the,
anyway.
What's
no one has ever raised their prices by 20% and regretted it. I'm telling you, when business is good, raise your prices, not when it's bad. For some reason, people think, okay, it's bad. I got to make more money. I got to raise my prices. No, I mean, yeah, of course, yes, logically that makes sense. But practically, it does not make sense because you can't afford to. You can never sit at a table you can't afford to get up from. Okay. And that's what happens whenever you're begging for business. So the minute you land 2 or 3 contracts or whatever it is, and you've got 60 days or 90 days worth of business, meaning payroll, and you can eat and everything. So you got what's called runway. You got a little runway there. Immediately start testing these vetting tips out. Immediately raise your prices by 20%. And if it's super easy to close the next deal, raise them by 20% more. Keep going until you price yourself out and then pull back a little bit.
I like it.
Yep.
Very good.
All right, so let me wrap this up here. I got about a few more minutes here in closing. Okay, all of these prospect vetting tools and tactics are a wonderful way to ensure you're not generating those needless proposals. And if please, I can't see your face right now, but raise your hand if you are done and you spend way too much time on custom proposals all the time to never have them close. These kind of tactics is how you eliminate doing all of those unneeded proposals. You put in basic vetting tactics, so therefore if you put in the time to do a proposal, it's with someone who actually has the money and is ready to pull the trigger. Now, whether or not you get the deal, that's up to you and the client and other bidders, right? But at least you're not wasting your time. Okay. I hope everyone has enjoyed the presentation. Okay. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. My name again is Lee Goff. And if I can ever serve your agency, do not hesitate to find me on one of the following channels. Okay. This Facebook group is great. So if you're not in that group, go ahead and get in there. And then if you have any questions, now is the time. So
absolutely. No, that was great, Lee. I just turned my video back on here and we can probably stop sharing. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, specific questions they want to follow up here as we're wrapping up, feel free to place them in chat there. It was great. Great presentation, a lot of good insight. I wanted to give one piece of advice or something we could riff on together real quick, which is that you kind of jumped into this with the vetting, right? And one thing that we've got to remember, and I love the idea of having some of these stop gaps and having the tripwires and having the low cost engagements to show, that somebody is serious. But that comes with the understanding that you've done some of the foundational work. You've built authority, you've built a brand, you've built something that somebody is comfortable with giving you somewhere between $7,000 to thousands of dollars before they start interacting, before you put that stopgap in. I think time and time again, I know you see this, it drives me crazy from a visual branding perspective. We'll see a coach using stock art and generic duplicate content that's all over their website. And then there's a form, to leave me your email. And if you just replace that with something that Lee mentioned, grab my $77 ebook on, your Facebook marketing audit that's custom, you're not going to see a result, right? There's a foundational aspect to this where you've got to have your daily email where you're building authority, have your podcast, have your webinar, do webinars for other people where you can get some of those tire kickers to kind of nurture them, right? So somebody might come through, on one of your webinars here, but there's got to be kind of that foundational branding work, or else these efforts are going to fall flat.
Yeah, in almost pretty much all cases like that, what happens is like, you have to have a lead magnet for them to opt into. Okay. And that's probably one of, if not the biggest mistake I see when it comes to to getting more leads is, let me go ahead and enlighten you. Okay. Again, I don't have time to get into this. I have something called lead harvesting formula. 92% of the people who are visiting your website are not in buy mode. Okay. They're not. That's just the way it works. Okay. 9 out of 10 people who visit your website are not in a buy mode, and they will not be for a period of time. And there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, that's a personal decision. You'll know. I mean, it's up to them.
Because when we do it ourselves, we know because
we all do this. We all do this. This is you try to sell me when I don't want to buy something. I'm like, good luck. If anything, you're going to piss me off. I'll never buy from you. Okay. So what really happens is whenever the prospects are ready to buy, they'll come back. But if you have not harvested that data through lead magnet diversification, okay, so you got the top 5 pain points for your target audience, whatever it might be. Okay. And after they opt into one of those lead magnets, okay, you got the 92% data. And then the prospect vetting is for the people who are in what's called in-depth research and buying units. And again, I know I'm kind of confusing it. I don't have time to get into all of that. I don't have time to get into that in any detail right now at all. But understand that if you can harvest 92%, they'll give you their name and email freely. It's no big deal. They do it at the drop of, it's no big deal. Then you've got them in your database. That's the email, the authority, constantly sending out emails for authority. You can upload it to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Okay. Google's going to have that available pretty soon where you can upload your database and target them specifically. Okay. And so all of this coming down the pipe, the data is gold. So get the contact data with the lead magnets, diversify your lead magnets, and then use prospect vetting to make sure that those prospects are legitimate for a good fit for your agency. So
absolutely. I know, I'm not in one of your, I'm sure you do this. I'm not in one of your drips, I don't believe, your education, but somebody like a digital marketer, Ryan Dice, periodically I get that, hey, because I don't think I've ever bought anything from them, right? So I'm still in this, he's a tire kicker, right? And so I'll still get these emails, hey, we're reducing our price, 50% on this engagement, right? And so signing up for some of these is helpful to kind of see this flow of how that actually works. But
and all they're trying to do is get a credit card on file. It's called you having a buying unit on file, and they know that once you put that credit, because that's the next trust gap, by the way. Name, email. That's the first. That's the very. You do that. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. Okay.
Yep.
Phone number is
emails. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody gives a damn. Okay. And then the phone number. Oh, I don't want them to call me or SMS. I don't want to. That's because one step over, and then the credit card. Okay. Okay, and there's actually another one, a meeting. A lot of times they'll schedule a meeting in between that before you get a credit card. But the goal on the info products is to get that $7 or $77 tripwire, get that credit card on file. So that way, when they go to upsell you to the war room or upsell you to whatever it is, I've already given them a little bit of money. Even if it's $1, you don't care. In your head, you're like, man, I gave them $1. They were awesome. I love them. So now they'll to sell the next level up. It's the Ascension model. The pricing is called the Ascension model, and they do it brilliantly. They do a phenomenal job at it over there. So.
That's awesome. Well, Lee, it's been great. I really appreciate you being here. Lots of great tips. I think everybody took a lot of value from it. Really appreciate the engagement from everybody that attended. I think, I think it was just phenomenal. Really practical ways to implement this for your agency. I really appreciate you coming on with us.